What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video and welcome to part number 3 of our arm balances series. If you missed the previous 2 videos, you can click up right here or down here in the description to check them out before you come to this video. Today I'll be covering the last 2 arm balances of the series, probably the hardest ones and the ones that require the most amount of work and strength as well, but that's why they are last. And those are going to be the L-sit and the Tuck Planche, better known as Lolasana in the yoga world. Now, these 2 positions are not as related to each other as the one in part 1 and part 2 of the series, but they do share a few things in common, and I believe they complement each other in a lot of ways. That's why I chose them to explain them in the same video. For example, they are commonly done together in a lot of transitions, whether you are a calisthenics athlete and you're working on your L-sit to handstand, or you are a yoga practitioner and you're working on jump through and jump backs, you're gonna find yourself moving through these 2 positions back and forward. They are both also commonly done on parallels or on deep bar, just because it is much easier to do these positions on them because we have more room between our body and the floor. Therefore, we're able to get in the position without having to lift up so much. However, even though it's harder to do them on the floor, that is what we're going to be learning on this video. So with that little comparison out of the way, let's begin with the L-sit. The L-sit was probably the first move that I learned on my calisthenics journey, and I do believe to be a key fundamental position to learn. It strengthens your entire core, your hip flexors, triceps, shoulders, and basically your entire body. Now, before we go into the progressions and the exercises for us to master the L-sit, let's take a look at some of the fundamentals that we need to know for this position. The first point I want to address is going to be the position of your scapula. Your scapula should be fully depressed with your shoulders pressing down and either neutral or slightly protracted. Now, the second point I want to address is how far your hips are in relationship to your hands. I would say that we have 2 kinds of L-sits: hips behind your hands and hips at the level of your hands. It is said that the only correct version is the second one, since the first one does not even make an L shape because your legs are not perpendicular to your torso. However, I do believe both to be right, and it really depends on the application. So my recommendation for you is aim to achieve both of them. Just know that it requires more strength the closer your hips are to your hand, but in the other hand, it requires more flexibility to achieve the second variation of the L-sit, which brings me to the third point, which is going to be flexibility. Here is simple: the more flexible your hamstrings are, the easier it'll be for you to lift up, since your shoulders are that much closer to the ground. But relying only on flexibility will make you achieve only the first position of the L-sit, which has 2 downsides. The first one is that some people may tell you that that is not an L-sit, not that you should care, but the second reason is that you won't be able to transfer as easy into more advanced positions such as the V-sit and the mana, so you're better off learning the 2 variations of the L-sit. Now into the L-sit progressions. I'm gonna keep this simple and short just because the progressions of any calisthenics move has been said over and over, and I don't think it is worth repeating. Just know that you would want to hold a progression for at least 10 to 15 seconds before moving on to the next progression. However, this is not necessarily true the entire time, because you could have, let's say, a 30-second tuck L-sit but still not be able to do a full L-sit for a lot of other factors. So just have them as a reference. Now, enough of the boring part. Let's get to work. I want you guys to follow this routine 2 or 3 times per week, and I'll give you my word that you're going to master the L-sit. Now, ideally, you would want to do this routine on the floor, but if some of the exercises seem really hard or almost impossible to do, start by elevating your hands from the floor and then scale your way up to eventually do this full routine with your hands on the floor. Let's get it. Now let's move on to the second position of today, another key position to learn if you want to be a master of your own body weight. And that is going to be the Tuck Planche for all my calisthenics and gymnasts out there, and Lolasana for all my yogis out there. This position works almost every single muscle in your body, but the most amount of work is being done by the front and rear delt, your serratus anterior, and your entire core. Again, let's go over a little bit of theory before we go over the progressions and the exercises necessary to master the Tuck Planche. First, one more time, the most important element, your scapula. For the Tuck Planche, your shoulders should be fully protracted or going forward and depressed. Once your scapula is in check, just make sure that your arms are completely straight with your elbows locked. Also make sure that you're leaning forward to find that balance. Finally, if flexibility in your wrist is a problem, you can apply the tip that I gave you on part 1, making a little V, turning your hand to the outside, and we allow for more range of motion when we're leaning forward. Now into the progressions. Again, use them only as a reference. Depending on how hard a progression feels, can be a good indicator of how much work you need to put in order to achieve the Tuck Planche. Finally, do the following routine 2 or 3 times per week for you to master the Tuck Planche. Again, you can use something to elevate your hands, or you can also start on your parallettes. But keep in mind that our end goal should be to perform a Tuck Planche on the floor. Let's do it. So there you have it, guys. That's the video. I did my best to keep this short, but really these 2 positions can be extended in so many ways, and I have countless of exercises and routine that I want to share with all of you guys. So please let me know in the comment section down below any doubts, any issues that you're having with these 2 positions or with the previous positions. Also, let me know anything else that you want me to cover on this channel, and I'll be more than happy to do that. With that being said, stay ready for the next series, which is going to be transitions. We're going to be applying all this move and learning how to move through them. So get ready for crow to handstand, crane to handstand, LC to handstand, tiger bend, and much more. With that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up to support the channel. If you happen to be new here, subscribe for more content like this. And as always, I will see you guys all next week. Love you.